This is part 2 of the Introduction to the Basic Features of Preschool First. This section deals with observing, assessment, and reporting. It builds on what you learned in part 1 about reflecting and planning. Let's begin by taking a look at preparing, observing, and entering observations. After planning a variety of learning experiences, you can use the Prepare to Observe and the Enter Observations buttons to prepare for and observe children as they participate in the activities and to enter those observations into Preschool First. We'll look at the class options first and then the options for an individual child. The Prepare to Observe button and the Enter Observations button offer the same options. Both are included to make following the teaching and learning cycle easy. Ask, what do I want to do? Prepare to work with and observe children, or enter and record observations already made? From the Prepare to Observe button on the Class tab, click on the From Bookmarked Activities option to see a list of any activities that you bookmarked for this class. You can sort the list by date or title, and filter it by selecting whether to see all, only Preschool First activities, or only those from your program's library. These are highlighted with an orange background. Click the blue toggle arrow to review the full activity and to see if there are any materials such as books, video clips, or printables you need to gather or prepare in advance. Use the icons to print or to create an observation sheet for the bookmarked activity. The weekly plan is the central location for all activities planned for the class. You can access the weekly plan from the sidebar menu or by clicking on Weekly Plan in the top blue bar. You can also print the weekly plan. Click Full Teacher Plan to print a detailed copy of the weekly plan that includes all notes and names. Or, if you prefer, use the classroom display to print a copy of the weekly plan that has no private information on it. This is the version families can see online from their login, and you can also post it in your classroom. Click Supply List to create a list of each of the activities planned for this week and the materials required. For more details about an activity scheduled on the weekly plan, click View Notes to read any notes added, click the eye icon to open and print an observation sheet, check alignments, print the activity, or delete it from the weekly plan. Clicking on the activity name will open a scheduling window. Use this schedule window to make any changes or to reschedule the activity. To see and review the full activity, click on the blue toggle arrow to open the activity. Another way to prepare and enter observations for the class is by creating a custom observation sheet with up to 5 behaviors. Enter a behavior number or search for the behavior by selecting the domain and then choosing a behavior from the drop-down list. After selecting the behaviors to observe, click the Observe These Behaviors button and an observation screen will appear. You can use this screen to enter observations directly from a tablet or iPad, or you can print it and use it to capture observations to be entered later. When recording observations, Preschool First uses a progressive Likert scale to capture observations about a child's progress toward becoming independent and mastering the developmental behaviors appropriate for him or her. We call it the Needham scale. Each letter of the Needham scale refers to a different level of a child's ability and independence. A rubric at the top of the observation screen defines each of the 5 terms. N is for not interested. I is for introduced. E is for emerging. D is for developing. M is for mastered. While observing children as they participate in activities, consider the criterion for each behavior and use the Needham scale to capture and record observations. To enter observations for the class, click on the Enter Observations button to see the same options as under Prepare to Observe. Enter class observations from bookmarked activities, from the weekly plan, or for specific behaviors. To observe and enter observations for individual children, select the Your Children tab and then use the Prepare to Observe and Enter Observations buttons in the red sidebar menu. As with the class sidebar menu, the Prepare to Observe and Enter Observations options on the child's page are the same. This time we will use the Enter Observations option to demonstrate the choices. Under the Prepare to Observe and Enter Observations buttons for an individual child is an intake questionnaire. Use the intake questionnaire to help get to know each child as an individual when they are new to the program or your class. It asks some simple questions based upon the child's age and development. Each question is related to a key behavior from the child's previous age group, with a few questions for the child's current age group. The numbered questions on the questionnaires relate to specific PreschoolFirst behaviors. Teachers and/or the parents will review each question and indicate whether the child hasn't yet, sometimes, or yes, always can do what the question asks. The responses help to build a baseline for this child. You can review or print the intake questionnaire in English or Spanish, and it is also available to families through their family login. Use the printer icon to print a copy to share. For more details about how to use the intake questionnaire, review the user guide found in the Your Resources tab. There are several other ways to enter observations for a child. The Informal Observations option generates an observation page specific to this child. Select which behaviors to include and filter the list down by choosing a domain and/or age range, then click Find. From the resulting list of behaviors, print an observation sheet specific to this child to use for informal observations, or open the Enter Informal Observations screen to enter observations using a computer or a tablet, or to enter observations previously recorded on paper. When entering observations, notice that a spinning wheel appears as the system registers the entry. When the entry is saved, a green dot will flash and then the observation turns blue. Wait until all the wheels finish and the blue appears before leaving or closing this page. Otherwise, some observations may not be recorded. To clear an entry, simply click the C. There is no Submit button. Once the spinning stops and the entries have turned blue, close the page and the entries are saved. To enter observations from a bookmarked activity, click on From Bookmarked Activities. A page will appear with a list of activities bookmarked for this child. You can sort this list. Click on the eye icon to open an entry screen for an activity and enter your observations as usual. The weekly plan is a quick way to find the activities already scheduled and to enter observations for an individual child. On the weekly plan, activities scheduled for a specific child appear with a red title and the child's name. Click the eye icon to open the observation screen and enter observations for this child. And similar to the class option, you can create a custom observation sheet with up to 5 behaviors to capture observations for specific behaviors. The final step in the teaching and learning cycle is reporting progress based on observations entered. There are similar reporting options for class and for individual children. Use the Review and Report Progress button on the class page to view a class progress overview, a class progress chart, or a list of behaviors not observed for children in this class. The progress overview shows overall progress for the class. It displays percentages of growth and progress for previous and current age ranges for all children in the class by domain. The class progress chart displays percentages of growth and progress in each domain during a selected time period. The Behaviors Not Observed option provides a link for each child in the class and shows information about each domain. Click here to see a list of appropriate behaviors that have not yet been observed. For each child, it shows how many behaviors in each domain from the previous and current age range have not been observed, and provides a quick link to related activities. A yellow highlight indicates that the child has an IEP or developmental difference. There are several additional reporting options from the Child's page. You can generate an observation history, child progress chart, and family conference reports, as well as review any archived reports for this child. The Observation History Report is a complete history of all the observations that have been recorded for this child over time. Use the selection options to narrow the focus of the report. Look at all domains or just one. See observations for all observers or only one. And choose start and end dates to look at only observations during a specific time period. An observation history report based on the selection criteria appears. You can sort this report by any column. For example, you can sort entries by behavior number, age range, or entry date, and print the report. The child progress chart looks very much like the class progress chart, but it is only for this individual child. You can use the family conference report to share a child's progress with his or her family. Create a new report by entering the start and end dates for the report and clicking Create a New Report. The resulting family conference report can be translated into Spanish. This concludes the Introduction to Preschool First. For more detailed information about each of the features in Preschool First, please refer to the User's Guide found under the Your Resources tab, or attend one of the free training webinars offered throughout the year.